you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for being here tonight. And we have the Daylilies with us, a cappella chorus. They were founded in Janesville in 2007. Now they're under the direction of Cyril Mandel, and they're going to present a potpourri of music tonight for you. Enjoy the Daylilies.
We are the Daylilies, a cappella chorus. We're a group of women who get together and sing various types of music, and most of it in four-part harmony. And we're honored and so lucky to be directed by Cyril Mandel, who is a very well-known director all over Wisconsin. We'd like to get you in the mood because we think we have a white Christmas this week. Southern Wisconsin and meet here in Janesville at the Lutheran Church on Milwaukee Street. And anybody in the audience who likes to sing and has time during the day, come and join us on Mondays from 1 to 3 at the First Lutheran Church. We would love to have you. We're, as I said, we sing in four-part harmony, and one of the things that we like to do is to just show you a little bit about some of our various talents. And right now, the basses are going to show off a little bit in Rise Up, Shepherd.
sorry. We'd like to do another fun Christmas thing. Carol Medley.
Thank you very much. We'd like to close our portion of the program with a kind of a funny little song that some of us learned a long time ago. I hope we all remember it. Thanks for being a great audience.
Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in the hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. He's bringing lots of toys for girls and boys, and wait until you see that Merry Christmas tree. So on, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen and Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the roof, to the top of the wall. He's coming to wish Merry Christmas to all. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, ladies. That was incredible and an amazing rendition in the last piece there. We're very, very happy that you were able to join us tonight. I want to plug their group again. There are 2 phone numbers in the program tonight. If anyone is interested in joining them at First Lutheran, they're always looking for new members. And again, we thank you for all coming tonight. Our next guest tonight is a lifelong resident of Janesville. She is 92 years young. Doris Tome worked at GM in the 50s and the 60s and was instrumental in opening the production line for women employees. On a personal note, my father, before he was gone, worked in the early days, and I have a copy of his last paycheck when he made around $2.50 an hour, which is amazing to look at where things are now. And Doris is going to do a little thing called Somebody's Mother by Mabel Down Norton Bryan. And I will hand the microphone, if I can get it out.
The woman was old and ragged and gray and bent with the chill of a winter's day. The street was wet with the recent snow, and the woman was old and tired and slow. She stood at the crossing and waited long, alone, uncared for, amidst the throng of human beings who passed her by. None heeded the glance of her anxious eye. When down the street with laughter and shout, glad of the freedom of school let out, came the boys like a flock of sheep, hailing the snow piled white and deep. At last came one of the merrier troop, the gayest laddie of all the group. And he paused beside her and he whispered low, "I'll help you across if you wish to go." Her aged hand on his strong young back she placed, and so, without hurt or harm, he guided the trembling feet along, proud that his own were firm and strong. Then back to his friends he went, his young heart happy and well content. She's somebody's mother, boys, and for all she's aged and poor and slow, and I hope some fellow'll lend a hand to help my mother. You understand, if her dear son is far away and she is old and ragged and gray, and somebody's mother bent low her head in her home that night. And the prayer she said was, "God, be kind to that noble boy, for he's somebody's son, and pride and joy."
Thank you. Excuse my lapse in thanking Doris. Thank you very much for coming and entertaining us and allowing us to see you. And thank you again for being here. Our next performers tonight are the Pyre Choir, and under the direction of Fran Thorpe Pyre. Fran offers vocal, guitar, piano, and acting lessons, and tonight they will give us a selection of holiday songs, and we ask you to enjoy the Pyre Choir.
I'm Pyre, and this is some of my students here behind me, and we are first going to sing Silent Night, then Feliz Navidad, and we will end with Rudolph. So thanks so much again for coming.
Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you might even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. You'll go down in history.
Thank you to the Pyre Choir for coming and entertaining us with that medley, wonderful selection by them. Our next guest tonight needs no introduction, but I will say a few things about Edie Barron, producer and storyteller. I've been fortunate enough to be in a few productions with her, and she has extensive experience, a great person to work with, very creative and a dynamic, forceful person, but that's a good thing. She is going to do a story, Why the Evergreen, and here is Edie Barron.
Thank you, David. In the beginning of the world, when the world was new, before man walked the earth, Mother Nature reigned. And Mother Nature had many, many children. Some of her children, the birds, not only filled the skies, but they also lived in the trees, in the forest, high up in the mountains. Now, this was a time when all of the trees held their leaves for the whole year. This was a time before trees started losing their leaves. Now, on this particular time, all of the birds gathered together to fly south, for the cold winds were beginning to blow. And the birds stretched their beautiful wings and flew and flew and flew, except there was one tiny, tiny little bird. And this little bird had a broken wing, and she could not fly. She could not keep up with the others. So she needed to find some shelter. She went up to a big, mighty oak tree. And she looked at the tree and she said, "Oh, beautiful, strong oak tree, let me live in your branches." The tree just looked down at her with disdain and said, "No way, you're too puny to live in my branches. Go away." And the poor little bird flew some more, and she saw a birch tree. "Oh, birch tree, you stand so strong. You have so many beautiful branches. Let me stay with you." "No way," said that birch tree. "You do not deserve to be in my branches. Go away." And the poor bird had nowhere to go. The other trees would not take her in. She was not regal enough like the eagles, said one tree to her. But soon she came across some beautiful green trees. And they were shaped, well, kind of like this, like a triangle. And they were green and had warm, warm branches. And the poor little bird said to the beautiful green trees, "May I stay in your branches?" And the green trees opened up their branches and their hearts to the little bird and took her in and gave her a safe home and food. Now, Mother Nature was watching this. And Mother Nature was not very happy with some of her children. As some of you mothers out there know, sometimes they disappoint you. So Mother Nature called upon another one of her children, the North Wind. And she said, "North Wind, I want you to fly throughout the forest. I want you to shake the leaves off of those trees that said no to the little bird." And the north wind gathered up its strength. Oh, I need some north wind help out there. Everybody, big breath. Whoa. And the north wind blew and blew and blew, and that mighty oak soon was not so mighty, for it had lost all its leaves, and the birch and all the trees in the forest, except for the trees like the cedars and the firs and the juniper bushes, the trees we call the evergreens. They retained all of their branches. And Mother Nature told her children, the trees, "Every year at springtime, I will let your leaves grow back. And you will have many months in which to think about how you said no to the poor bird. And you will have many months in which to do good. But every fall, when the cold wind starts blowing, I will once again cause you to lose your leaves as a reminder to you of what you did to that poor bird." And so that, my friends, is why all of the evergreens retain their beautiful green branches all year long. Thank you.
As an arborist, a tree person, I now know the reason that trees lose their leaves. Thank you, Edie, for informing me. Very entertaining. Our next three ladies are Nancy Lyle Hassey, Joni Schutte Hines, and Anna Schutte Reed. Together, they form Heavenly Harp and Hammers, and they will entertain us with a wonderful selection, and we will allow them to start.
Was in the moon of winter time, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Gitche Manitou sent angel choirs instead. Before their light the stars grew dim, and wandering hunters heard the hymn. Jesus, your King is born. Jesus is born in excelsis Gloria. I got everything right? Yeah, I do. Key of G? Yep, got the key of G. I have to switch levers, and every now and then I forget, so we always talk to each other. Make sure I have it right. Sometimes there's not enough time in a program to say all you want to say. I can't say it, so we gotta go on. Rock the Cradle, Mary, and Silent Night. Do I start?
'Twas the night after Christmas, and all through the trailer, the beer had gone flat, and the pizza was staler. The tube socks hung empty, no candies or toys, and I was camped out on my old lazy boy. The kids weren't talking to me or to my wife. The worst Christmas they said they'd had in their lives. My wife couldn't argue, and neither could I. So I just watched TV, and my wife, she just cried. When out in the yard, the dog started barking. I stood up and looked, and I saw Sheriff Larkin. He yelled, "Raw, I'm sworn to uphold the laws, and I got a complaint here from a feller named Claus." I said, "Claus? I don't know nobody named Claus, and you ain't taking me in without probable cause." Then the sheriff, he said, "The man was shot at last night." I said, "That might have been me. Just what's he look like?" The sheriff replied, "He's a jolly old feller with a big beer gut belly that shakes when he laughs like a bowl full of jelly. He sports a long beard and a nose like a cherry." I said, "Sheriff, that sounds to me like my wife's sister Sherry." "No time for jokes, Roy," the sheriff, he said. "The man I'm describing is dressed all in red. I'm here for the truth now. It's time to come clean. Tell me what you've done. Tell me what you've seen." Well, I started to lie when I thought, well, it wouldn't have been the first time I spent New Year's in jail. I said, "Sheriff, it happened last night about 10, and I thought that my wife had been drinking again. When she walked in from work, she was white as a ghost. I thought maybe she'd seen one of them UFOs. But she said that a bunch of deer had flown over her head and stopped on the roof of our good neighbor Red. Well, I ran outside to look, and the sight made me shudder. A freezer full of venison standing right on Red's gutter." Well, my hands were shaking as I grabbed my gun when out of Red's chimney this feller did run. And slung on his back was this bag overflowing. I thought he'd stolen Red's stuff while old Red was out bowling. So I yelled, "Drop, fat boy, hands in the air." But he went about his business like he hadn't the care. So I popped a warning shot over his head. Well, he dropped that bag and jumped in that sled. And as he flew off, I heard him exhort, "That's assault with intent, Roy. I'll see you in court."
Very entertaining. The Reverend and I share a passion for old movies, one of our favorite things to enjoy. Our next two guests are Edie Barron, who is already on stage, and after intermission, you're familiar with her, and also tonight with her, performing in the month of Kislev, a Hanukkah story, will be Yuri Rashkin. Yuri's been a musician since he was 5, and he's a native of Moscow, Russia. We were recently together. I got to meet Yuri when we did a 24-hour 24-hour theater program out at Urok, in which we wrote and then performed. We were rehearsing before we performed. And so it was great meeting Yuri. And without further ado, Edie Barron and Yuri Rashkin.
In the month of Kislev, once in Poland, there was a peddler named Mendel. He and his wife, Rivka, and their 3 children, Leah, Gittel, and Devra, lived in a small hut at the edge of town. Mendel worked hard, traveling to villages near and far, selling pots and pans and handkerchiefs and trinkets, all out of the huge sack that he carried on his back. Rivka worked hard too to keep the children clothed and fed, but it wasn't easy on the little they had.
Now in this town there also lived a merchant named Feifel. And Feifel was very rich. And his wife had 2 servants, one to do the cleaning and one to do the cooking. And he would drive from his customer to customer's door with a coachman and a fine carriage. And whenever beggars came to Feifel's home, Feifel would just send them away without a care. It was not the right way, but it was Feifel's way. Now, in the cold month of Kislev, it was also the time of Hanukkah. And for 8 nights, people would light the candles of the menorah, and the children would play with dreidel, and they would play with Hanukkah gelt, and they would have the delicious smells of Hanukkah latkes that their mothers were baking in the kitchen.
But this year, in one house in town, there were no potato latkes. There were no children laughing. This was the house of Mendel the peddler. Things had gone so badly for him that week that Rivka could not buy a single potato. On the first night of Hanukkah, Leah, Gittel, and Devra were walking home from the synagogue behind their father. On the way, they passed by the house of Feifel the merchant. As they turned the corner, they were right underneath the window of Feifel's kitchen. And they smelled, that aroma just filled their cold little noses. It was the smell of the golden latkes just out of the pan, floating out into the air. Oh, they said, let's smell the latkes. For the 3 hungry children, it was as if they had eaten a plateful. And then they hurried home. Inside their frail little hut, Rivka lit the first candle and recited the blessings over it. The wind whistled through the cracks in the wall and almost blew the candle out. But the children didn't mind the wind. They were remembering the rich smell of Feifel's latkes by his window. Since there were no coins in the house, they played dreidel using small pebbles. Then, after kissing their parents goodnight, Leah went to the left side of the bed, Gittel went to the right, and Devra crept in the middle. They huddled under their blankets and went to sleep, smiling happily. And so it went. On each of the first 7 nights of Hanukkah, the children made sure to find their way through the streets to Feifel's house. Then they would rush to the window and breathe in the aroma of the latkes again. And on each night, the children went to bed smiling happily.
Now, on the 8th night of Hanukkah, the 3 girls were standing under the window of the kitchen, and they were breathing in the aroma of the Hanukkah latkes. And the servant of Feifel saw them. "Oh, you beggar children, you," she said, "you get away from this window. You are stealing the smell of our Hanukkah latkes." And she called to the master, "Master, the beggar children are at the window." And Feifel came out and he said, "You, get away from here. It is as if you are stealing food from us. You are stealing the aroma." And Feifel took those 3 children and his wife and his children and Feifel's wife, and they all went to the wisest man in the village, the Rabbi Yonah. Rabbi,
Yonah.
these children have been stealing the smell of my Hanukkah latkes.
Rabbi Yonah was a kindly man, known throughout town for his wisdom and fair judgments. He sat at his wooden desk, which was piled high with books and scrolls, and listened calmly as Fievel presented his case.
I want you to do something about this. These children have come every night for 8 nights to smell my Hanukkah latkes.
And what do you want me to do about it?
I want you to come up with a fair price, a fine. Yes, they should pay a fine.
And what kind of a fine should it be?
Well, let's see, it's 8 nights of Hanukkah. I think a ruble a night. 8 rubles, yes, that's fair, 8 rubles.
8 rubles, whispered the townspeople. Fievel the merchant wants Mendel the peddler to pay him 8 rubles for the smell of his latkes. Mendel could hardly speak. He did not have 8 rubles to give. He barely had a kopeck to his name. How can he pay this fine? Rabbi Yonah thought for a moment and spoke to the townspeople. Friends and neighbors, look in your pockets. Who has Hanukkah geld? A little Hanukkah money?
And the people started looking in their pants pockets and even in their shoes, and they all pulled out various coins of Hanukkah geld. And the rabbi walked through amongst the townspeople and collected the money. And when he collected it, he put it in a bag, tied the bag, and did a most amazing thing. He shook the bag once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Is our rabbi crazy? The townspeople asked each other.
Finally, he stopped. Silence filled the room. The rabbi turned to Fievel and said, "There, my friend, what's right is right. You asked for fair payment, and you have received it. We have paid you for the smell of your Hanukkah latkes with the sound of the Hanukkah geld. Now go home and try to do good in the world."
And when Fievel heard that, he walked home, his face held down. But from that moment on, whenever any beggar came to the house of Fievel, he was greeted not only with plates of warm food, but a blanket to take home with him too. And the coffers of the synagogue were never empty, thanks to Fievel and his wife.
And every year, when the winds of Kislev blew through the town of Fievel and his wife and children, and Mendel and his wife and children would light the menorah, play dreidel, and eat plates and plates of potato latkes together.
We now have a return by the Reverend Bruce Gray, and he will be accompanied by Yuri Rashkin. They will perform The White Envelope.
It's just a simple white envelope on the tree mixed in with the ornaments. It's been a part of their tree for, as far as I can remember, at least a dozen years. It all came about because Tina's husband Mike really didn't like Christmas. No, he didn't like the spiritual aspects of Christmas or the spirit of Christmas. He had a hard time with the commerciality of it, always having to go out and shop and give and give and give and buy gifts for grandma, bath soaps, or a tie for Uncle Harry, gifts that they just had to buy. Well, what happened is Tina wanted to come up with something that would have been special for Mike as far as a gift. Something that would be inspirational, something that would be unique for Mike. And the idea came about when one of their 3 kids, Kevin, who was 12 years old at the time, he wrestled at the junior high school, and there was a wrestling match against an inner city church. What a stark contrast between the ragtag uniforms of the inner city church. It's all they could afford. And Kevin's team, bright, shiny uniforms, beautifully new tennis shoes, headset to protect the ears. All the inner city kids had was tennis shoes and mismatched uniforms, and those tennis shoes were just barely held together by the strings, by the laces on the shoes. Well, as you can probably tell, Kevin's team beat them in every single weight class. You wouldn't know it by those kids. Those inner city kids at the end of each match would dance around the mat in false bravado. It was the inner city way. They knew nothing else. Mike, watching this, was heartbroken. He said, those kids are talented. I just wish one of them would have won at least one match. This has just got to break their hearts, break their spirit that they could not win at least one. And that's where the idea came. The next day, Tina went to the local sporting goods store and bought wrestling gear, shoes and uniforms and headgear, and anonymously sent them to that inner city church. And on a piece of paper, she wrote down what she had done, and she put it into a small, simple white envelope and placed it on the tree. But the next day, as the kids were opening their gifts and enjoying everything that was going on, everything stopped. The kids stopped playing with their toys as Tina told Mike about the envelope. He went over to the tree, picked it up, read it, and his smile was the biggest smile that she had seen in years. The Christmas spirit had returned to Mike. Every year after that, Tina did the same thing. Whether it was buying hockey tickets for kids with disabilities or helping out 2 brothers who had just recently lost their house to a fire, she did this and wrote it down each year on that simple white and put it in that simple white envelope and placed it on the tree. It became the highlight of that day. The kids, they would stop and in wide-eyed anticipation watch as their dad took that envelope off the tree. As the years went by, gifts changed, but that part never changed. The kids still stopped. The story doesn't end there. A couple of years ago, Mike died. He died of cancer. And Tina was grief-stricken. She really didn't know if she was going to do anything for Christmas. But she gathered enough strength, got the tree put up, and she put that envelope up on the tree. Unbeknownst to her, her 3 kids did the same thing. They put an envelope up for their dad up on that tree. In years to come, that tradition will continue, I'm sure. When those boys, Kevin and his brothers, get older, their kids will, with wide-eyed anticipation, look to that tree to see what was given. Mike's spirit lives on in those gifts, in those simple white envelopes. And may we remember Jesus Christ, the reason for the season, and for the spirit of giving and sharing, not only this year, but all years to come.
night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Led by a light, a face serenely beaming, with glowing hearts by his cradle we stand. Led by a light from heaven sweetly gleaming, here came the wise man from out of Orient land. The King of Kings lay thus in lowly manger, in all our sorrows born to be our friend. He knows our need, our weakness is no stranger. Behold your King, before him lonely bend. Behold your King, before him bend. Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Oh, praise his name forever. His power and glory evermore proclaim. His power and glory evermore proclaim.
That was the beautiful vocals of Ray Jewell. He's no stranger to the JPAC stage. He's been on this stage in many Theater Unlimited productions, and I'm sure you'll see him on this stage again a lot more. And thank you, Anna. That was absolutely wonderful. Now I get to do an introduction. No Christmas holiday program is over until we've heard the words of Clement Moore and the original, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And reading that for us tonight is my friend David Graham, who you've seen all evening as our MC. And David is one of those guys who will just jump in and do anything anybody needs whenever it needs to be done. He's really an incredible person, and he's a wonderful performer, and he too has been on this stage with many different theater companies, including Stage One, and we're really lucky to have David. Please welcome him now as a performer and not as the MC.
Backwards. Thank you, Edie. Perhaps it's too high. There we are. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wandering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricanes fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Thank you, Mr. Graham. And now, folks, it's time for you to get in on this fun. We're going to do a few sing-alongs. I think you all have sheets there. And any of the performers who are still in the audience, if you want to come up and help lead the sing-along, please come on up right now. Anna, which one are we going to start with? Deck the Halls. Anybody joining us on stage? Or it's going to be Anna all by herself? Come on up. Come on up. Go ahead and start.
The halls with boughs of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, la 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 la. The ancient winter carols, la 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 la. The blazing before us, la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, la 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 la. What a treasure, la 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 la.
And next, we wish
Ho!
Rudolph.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho! Merry Christmas,
Merry
eh?
Christmas.
Oh, thank you for having me come. I've had fun tonight. Have you had fun tonight?
Yes, I
Of
have.
course. See, I'm Santa. You're not. Merry Christmas. I heard what you said. Merry
Santa, we have a
Christmas.
song
Merry
about
Christmas.
your favorite friend
Oh!
named Rudolph.
Rudolph, he's the thing with the nose, yeah? Oh, the reindeer, yeah.
Let's hear it. Rudolph the red-nosed
Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw him, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in the reindeer games. And one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? And all the reindeer loved him, and they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.
Yay. And the last song says it all. We wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, however you celebrate the season. Thank you so much for sharing part of it with us. And we'll see you in the lobby in just a few minutes. We
Edie, where are the cookies?